Good evening and welcome to tonight's council meeting for Tuesday, August 11th. Glad to be back after our summer break to get back to the business of the town. I will start off the meeting with our land acknowledgement. As we gather here today, let us be reminded that the community in which we live, work, and play is situated on traditional, unceded Algonquin First Nation territory. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Anishinaabe people and express our respect and support for their rich history and culture. Could I get a call to order, please?
All members of council are present.
Thank you very much. Approval of the agenda. Recommended motion is that the agenda be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Comley, seconded by Councillor Atkinson. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and or conflict of interest in general nature thereof can be made now or at any point throughout the meeting by notifying the clerk. Item number 5 is the approval of minutes. Recommended motion, please.
That the council minutes dated June 23rd and 25th, 2026 be accepted as presented.
Thank you. Moved by Deputy Mayor Tanis, seconded by Councillor Hinton. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Moves us along to bylaws, of which we have 3. First bylaw is to approve special charges to 16 Sarah Street. Recommended motion, please.
That bylaw 62-2026 to approve special charges for 16 Sarah Street Better Homes Lanark program be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Sakaspina, seconded by Councillor Kavanaugh. Any discussion on this item? All good news. Somebody fixing up their house using the Better Homes Lanark program that's run by the county. Good to see. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Item number 2 is to do with the community elevator and Trillium Fund. Recommended motion, please.
That bylaw 63-2026 to authorize a contribution agreement, Trillium Foundation, Neelan Community Center elevator be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. Moved by Deputy Mayor Tanis, seconded by Councillor Comley. Any discussion? Another good news story. We'll take all of those we can get. That's excellent. Seeing no more discussion, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And last but not least, part lock controls. Could I get the recommended motion, please?
That the following part lock control bylaws be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Bylaw 64-2026 for 177 and 179 O'Donovan Drive. Bylaw 65-2026 for 187 and 189 O'Donovan Drive. And bylaw 66-2026 for 29, 31, 33, and 35 Wiley Way.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Atkins, second by Councillor Hinton. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Announcements. I have none personally, but I know that my fellow councillors most likely do. Looking over at Councillor Kavanaugh or Councillor Sakaspina. Councillor Sakaspina.
I don't have any announcements, but I want to remind everybody about the free breakfasts on Wednesday at St. James and the free lunches at Zion on Tuesday. And not to forget that Friday nights, they're still doing the live bagpipe music at Memorial Park. If anybody knows what time, I can't remember. All right. But don't forget to attend. They're going to do that until September.
Those were announcements, were they not? At 6 o'clock on Fridays, Linda. Councillor Hinton.
Thank you, Mayor Randall. I just want to thank the residents who came out to our open house last week for the pool facility. Some great discussions with residents, hearing their concerns and what they loved about what we're doing. So just thank you for participating. It was great to see. And don't forget to still have time to fill out the online survey till August 17th.
Thank you. Councillor Kavanaugh.
Hi. Yeah. Well, there's probably a lot, but welcome back. July was a flurry of Summerfest and park parties, and I don't expect anything less for August. But just a reminder that We still have summer skating, which is a nice affordable way to beat the heat. It's only $2 for an adult and $1 for a child. And that continues throughout August. Follow the Rec and Culture page for the dates and details. The Riverfront Artscape is happening at the CP Art Gallery on the 15th, which is Saturday. It's become a wonderful annual tradition and ties in with the downtown Crown Place BIAs doing the Arts of August. There's lots of art installations. There's going to be lo-fi and lit at the library where you can listen to some music and read your book. There's going to be knitting at Junction. So follow the Downtown Crown Place event page for that. The 16th, which is Sunday, is the Young Entrepreneurs Market from 11 to 2 at Dark and Deadly Cafe, which is a lovely annual tradition now where our young makers can go out and sell their wares. And August 22nd is Porch Fest, returning to Crown Place from 1 to 4. So lots to look forward to as always. And I look forward to seeing everybody there. Thanks.
Thank you. I think we've got almost everything wrapped up that's happening in the community. Also can go on CP Social Scoop, which goes out to tell you, and also sign up for CP Scoop to be informed of everything that's happening in town. And Councillor Kavanaugh has one more thing.
Sorry, I almost forgot the annual pep rally for the CP Canoe Club is August 12th from 5:30 to 7:30. So go out and support the Canoe Club athletes. They've had an incredible season as always, and go show community spirit. And yeah, I think that's it now.
I believe they just won the Eastern Ontario Championship as a group, which is awesome. The Canoe Club has found a resurgence recently, and it's terrific. It's a wonderful community asset and a wonderful program for kids and adults of all ages to take part in. So that's terrific. One thing last for me, it's not specifically Crown Place, but county related, is the county plowing matches on this weekend on Saturday. It's in Montague. If you want to get information on it, you can just go to the County Council Facebook page and you can find information on that. But it's a fun event. Go out and see how many of our rural neighbors live and make a living. There's a few of us county councillors that will hop on a tractor and try and plow in a straight line. There's music, there's food, there's all sorts of great things. So that's on Saturday. And I think that's it. So thank you for all the announcements and updates. Item number 8 is confirmatory bylaw. Could I get the recommended motion, please?
That bylaw 67-2026 for confirmation of council proceedings for August 11th be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Can I get a mover? Councillor Kavanaugh, seconded by Councillor Comley. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And it's about average. Adjournment. Recommended motion is that the meeting be adjourned at 6:08 p.m. Moved by Councillor Hinton, seconded by Councillor Atkinson. All in favor? We are adjourned, and we are moving on to Committee of the Whole, which is hosted by Deputy Mayor Tennant.
I'll be your host for Committee of the Whole.
Probably don't want to talk for the words,
Call to order. We've already done it. Everybody's still here. The approval of the agenda. Suggested motion, the agenda be accepted as presented. Could I have a mover and seconder, please? Mayor Randall and Councillor Conley. Any discussion? All in favor? And we're carried. Any declarations, conflicts? No. Okay. Committee of the Whole minutes from last meeting. Suggested motion, the Committee of the Whole minutes dated June 23rd, 2026 be accepted as presented. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Atkinson and Councillor Kavanaugh. All in favor? Carried. Moving right on to reports. Carleton Place Fire Department and Municipal Law Enforcement 2026 second quarter activity report with Dave Joy, our Acting Director of Protective Services. Suggested motion. I'm going to do it after. We changed it near the end, so I'm going to wait till the end. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Second quarter of 2026, the fire department is very busy with public education events. Just a couple Mighty Machines, the Seniors Expo, and McHappy Day. And I didn't make Mighty Machines, but I understand it was the biggest turnout they've ever had. So that was quite impressive. It's a good day, crazy day, but it's all good. Chief Matt Anderson completed his Fire and Life Safety Educator Level 3. That's new with the problems as well, just last year. Municipal bylaw, we've had them out on their e-bikes a lot in the last 2 months, in public's eye, talking, answering a lot of questions, making friends and going down the road. But they, all serious, they do answer a lot of questions. And I love them when they're out on the bikes because it's more personal and they get to talk to people. Emergency preparation, the preparation week, we aim to encourage everybody to have emergency kits for 72 hours. And staff, we continue to monitor all the storms, potential upcoming storms, and then notify the public. And the staff, our staff and town staff work very well and closely together for that, which works very well for us.
Great, thanks for that. Any questions or comments? Linda?
Thank you, Dave. The number that really jumps out at me isn't the 133 emergency calls. It's the 369 inspections and 123 orders issued. Prevention doesn't make headlines the way a fire does, but that's where we can potentially save lives and prevent that 1 million in property loss. I'd like to thank the department for that work, and I'd be interested in knowing whether the rise in false alarms, particularly in July, is something we should be looking at from a prevention standpoint.
Councillor, we do talk about fire alarms every time we're on the public. We speak about fire alarms, how important they are, and what is an emergency, what's not an emergency. Where we're sort of handcuffed here is when they call 911, we have to go. And a lot of times it's not an emergency, but they don't understand that. So we encourage to talk to the neighbors. The mayor and I talked about several times, the deputy mayor. We encourage talk to your neighbors, work with each other. Because your battery's faulty, it's not a false alarm. So every event we have, we encourage, we talk. And it's hopefully getting through. And we always err on the side of caution. I talked to the mayor about a couple months about this, and we roll the trucks always, and we always assume it's something until we know it's nothing. Yeah, prevention is the key. If you go back years ago, suppression was number one, prevention number three. We flipped that in the province, and we can prevent things from happening. Obviously, we're going to save money, dollar loss, and lives end of that too.
Any other questions or comments? Mayor Randall?
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Pretty typical report. You guys are busy doing work. Excellent. We appreciate everything that you do. My question is about the complement. Where are we right now with our volunteer force, and are we in need? Are we good? Kind of just maybe give us an update about our staffing.
Thank you, Mayor. Currently, we're full at 25 paid on call volunteers and 3 chiefs. And we have people on the wait list actually who are fully certified, which saves us, the town, a lot of money. It's approximately $10,000 to train every firefighter. So it's a huge significant cost savings for us. But yeah, we're full right now at 25.
Excellent. I know that we had some turnovers, a bunch of folks retired, and we have some new people in. It's excellent to hear that we're full and we've got people in reserve should folks move along. So we rely heavily on our volunteer force and we appreciate them, but it's good to hear the numbers are still up there. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments? I'll give a shout out to Rick. I was driving around through town doing work one day a couple of weeks ago, and it was about 40 degrees with the Humidex, and Rick was on the bike and pulled up alongside him, said hi, and no complaints at all. He was enjoying it, but it was so hot. So great for Rick to be out on a hot day like that. I thought that was, and those uniforms aren't like little uniforms, like they're heavy materials. So I thought that was pretty impressive. So if anybody else, more comments? No, we're good. Thank you, Dave. Suggested motion that council accept as information the acting director of Protector Services report on the second quarter 2026 activities at Carleton Place Fire Department Municipal Law Enforcement dated August 11th, 2026. A mover and seconder, please. Mark and Linda. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to parking restrictions in Stonewater Bay with Guy Bourgon, Director of Public Works. Go ahead, Guy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a rather simple ask. It's on the outside curve of Stonewater Bay, right near the park. It's overgrown with vegetation. It's a blind spot for people coming around the curve, especially when there's people parked on both sides of the road. So we're just recommending that no parking zone be installed on the north side of the road around that curve so that it alleviates the safety concern.
Great, thank you for that. Any questions or comments? Linda?
Thank you, Guy, for this. I'm very comfortable supporting this. We're not looking at a major loss of parking here. We're looking at a relatively small section of road where parked vehicles, the curb, and vegetation are creating a slight line problem. I think the important thing is that we deal with the safety issue before somebody gets hurt, rather than waiting for an accident to tell us what we already know. If restricting parking here gives motorists 2 clear lanes around the curve and has little impact on residents, it seems like a really reliable and reasonable solution. Thank you.
That's great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? All right, I'll read the suggested motion that council direct staff, one more. Suggested motion that council pass a bylaw to amend traffic and parking bylaw 46-2003 to restrict parking on the west side of Stonewater Bay as outlined in the report by the Director of Public Works dated August 11th, 2026. Mover and seconder, please, Councillor Atkinson and Mayor Randall, yes? And then, now that he's been seconded, any comments? Mayor Randall.
Sorry, I just popped into my head looking at the graphic. Did this come as a complaint? Like, or were somebody staff driving around, or was this complaint based?
It was complaint based.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before we move forward to the vote? All in favor? And that's carried. Any opposed? Okay, moving on. We are on C, Allen Street Servicing with Guy Bourgon again. Go ahead, Guy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just have Stacy bring up the map so that we can refer to it as we're having this discussion. So this file dates back quite a while. Many of us around the table weren't here when this all started, but there was a developer who holds many different land holdings under various names that was going to come in with a significant development on the south side of Allen Street between Charles and where Allen Street makes the bend there. So those 4 lots were going to be all together and amalgamated, and a large development was going to occur. So as part of that, council at the time back in 2017 agreed to pay for half of the cost of a design of a sewer and water main running down Allen Street so that we could get rid of all that piping that currently exists that is servicing those 4 lots on the north side of the road on the river, and get rid of that little pumping station on Charles Street shown by that little red square there. There's a few things that are going on right now. Obviously, this has been on hold since 2020. We had funds set aside in the 2020 budget to pay for our share of the works. We were going to cost share with the developer for those works. However, that fell off the rails. The development did not go ahead. So we've been in much of a holding pattern. But unfortunately, the roadways are in extremely poor condition, both Allen Street and Charles Street. And the pumping station that's there is roughly 50 years old now and in desperate need of attention, rehabilitation. So this gravity sewer and water main looping would allow us to get rid of that pumping station and save us the cost of rehabilitating the pumping station and the ongoing costs for electricity. And pipes in the ground, as you are aware, have a much longer lifespan, usually 80 to 100 years, rather than a pump station, which needs to be looked at every 40 years or so. So there are many different options I could have listed. I listed a few options that we could take a look at because right now the developer is no longer interested in developing. They've listed those properties for individual sale. There has been interest on some, but I don't know to date whether they have fully sold. But the idea that one developer is going to move ahead and cost share with us on this project, as was the idea back in 2020, is not very strong anymore. So I listed a few options, but I could have listed a dozen different options of what we could do. From a cost perspective, the offsetting of the installation of the sewer and water main would offset the cost or be offset by the cost of rehabilitation of that pump station. They're about the same. $600,000 to $650,000 would pay for the underground work or the rehabilitation of the pump station. But as I mentioned before, from a long-term plan, a life cycle plan, it's much more advantageous to the town to have new infrastructure, gravity infrastructure underground, and a looped water main than what we had there presently. Currently, those services are probably at half-life, the ones that are existing. There's a 50-millimeter water main that goes to those homes through the easements in the backyard. And there's a small sanitary sewer that goes to that pumping station that discharges from a fourth main into the sanitary sewer on Charles Street. So I'll leave it for right now to that, and you can have a discussion with me on what options we should be exploring to go forward. But we really need to do something about the roads. So I really need to reconstruct those roads sooner rather than later. And as well, that pumping station needs attention sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Guy. Obviously complex. Where do we start the discussion? Who wants to go first? Mayor Randall.
Thank you. This is a complicated file, to say the least. There's a lot of moving parts, and not a small amount of money that is involved. I do have one question before I make a suggestion. You had mentioned that we had money set aside in 2020 for our portion of this. Is that money still in reserve?
Through the chair, the money was obviously returned to source when we didn't move ahead with it. However, the money, we do have money in reserves in order to do such a project for the undergrounds.
Thank you. Yeah, this is very complicated. I personally have many questions, and as you said, there's about a dozen different ways we can attack this. Especially the members of council that have been here for 2 terms, at least dealt with the original iteration of this to a degree through an appeal process. The new councillors might not have as much of the information and have had the opportunity, now that we're just getting back in from summer break, to have asked and inquired about certain questions to make sure that we're making the proper decision here. And I think there's some more information that needs to come. I would probably defer this for a couple of weeks so that it gives everybody the opportunity to get those questions answered. And then we can have a fulsome discussion about how to proceed with this at the next meeting. That would be my suggestion. I'm open to conversation about it, though.
Okay, thanks for that. Further comments? Go Mark, then Sarah.
Thank you. I certainly agree with what Mayor Randall is saying. As a first-term councillor, I wasn't part of the original agreement. I question the cost-sharing agreement. I don't have enough background right now to make an informed decision, and needing some more financial information of what is going to be best long-term, and the lowest life cycle cost of doing these projects. By receiving it Thursday or Wednesday night, I have not had enough time to make an informed decision at this time. So I would second Mayor Randall's motion if he wants to bring that to the floor after discussion. But at this time, I certainly would need more information before I could make an informed decision.
That's great. We'll continue the conversation, then we'll move back to the concept of deferring after. So go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I was just gonna echo that again, when you said that there could be a dozen different options. I see 3 here. I've been reviewing the information I had on this file, and I'd really like to take some more time and look at what all of those options mean. To Mark's point, the long-term cost, the benefit of which investment makes the most sense. Yeah, so I would appreciate a little bit more time to like unravel all of those different options.
Okay, great. We've got a notion to defer. We'll defer the notion to defer for now for more questions. Go ahead, Dana.
Thanks. Yeah, these properties have been on the market for a little bit. Last I checked, 3 out of 4 are still listed. and this question might be a little bit more for Nikki, but if a developer did come in and say pick up 3 of them, is there still opportunity to do a larger type development that would have different servicing requirements? I would just hate to do something that prevented infill that we had desired in the past.
Yeah, it's, sorry, I'm so confident.
Oh,
There. Nope. Okay, thanks, Guy. Yeah, it's really hard to say at this point. It would depend like which of the 3 properties or 2 properties they picked up. I can tell you that in the work that we did, through the official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw, development permit bylaw amendment, and then subsequently readopted through the new bylaw. We've changed and heavily regulated the types of uses and performance standards on lots like this. So really the uses that are permitted now are limited to singles and semi-detached dwellings. That's it. That's not to say that a developer could not pick up the properties and come in with an alternative proposal and file for additional uses to be added or an official plan amendment to add more density. So there's always a chance. But I'd say at that time, if we had a cost sharing bylaw in effect, we could look at applying it then. If it's not in effect, it would be pretty hard to levy an additional connection charge midway through reviewing their application process.
okay, thank you. I just want to make sure we were going to do it, we're going to service it to what we want there.
Great, thanks for that. Any other questions? Mayor Randall?
The only, Guy alluded to this in the report, is the road work on Charles and Allen. We've been kind of waiting, thinking that this might have been done. Can you just say if we decided to pull the trigger on any version of this, when those road works, the roadway work would potentially get done?
Through the chair, we have it right now moved to 2028 because he's already started designs and whatnot for 2027 roadwork. So the earliest would be 2028.
Obviously, that gives us time, but if anything, the citizens that live on Allen and Charles have been waiting a period of time, and the road itself, if the pipes underneath are in, are a half-life or have 40 or 50 years left in them, the road work itself could get done, all depending upon how we go about it. And again, the 2 weeks will give us that opportunity, I believe. So, but more to the citizens that are on Charles and Allen, that road work is scheduled and something will happen with that pumping station and the pipes at some point. So the road work is on its way one way or the other.
We're gonna pave the road someday. Yeah. Any other questions or comments before we ask for a deferral? No? Okay, the original was Toby, and then Mark was the seconder. Are we still good for that? Any other discussion? Oh, go ahead.
Can we put a date on the deferral?
Absolutely. Toby?
I believe 2 weeks is ample amount of time for everybody to ask some questions, and then we can come back at next meeting and have a fulsome discussion on the whole thing.
Just till next meeting. Sorry, I was really picky about picking dates for deferrals at one point, and I missed that one. All right, so we've got a mover and a seconder. All in favor of deferring, and that's carried. Thanks very much. Moving on, we are going to item D, Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation Design Catalog with Nikki Dwyer, Director of Development Services, which I'll never get right. Go ahead, Nikki.
Don't worry, counselor. There's a couple more months left in term. You might get it right. You can do it. I believe in you. Thank you, council. It's nice to be back after summer recess. I'm bringing you a nice softball tonight. We've been approached by CMHC, who of course is our funding provider on the Housing Accelerator Fund, about a resolution of support and an endorsement of the use of their design catalog. For those planning nerds out there, the design catalog is a long-standing program from CMHC. It comes and goes. It originally started in the immediate fallout of World War II to try and resettle soldiers in Canada and created a mass market supply of housing, both low density and also some mid-range density right up until the 70s. As part of the federal government's efforts to try and create more housing now, they relaunched the design catalog, did a very lengthy design competition from architects across the country, and had shortlisted architects who then went on to design. You're smiling at me because I'm such a nerd about this. They went on to design these homes that could be almost permit ready, which means that there is some modification that an applicant or homeowner would have to undertake at the building permit stage to get it across the finish line, but it's at least a good start, and it helps builders or homeowners understand what the cost of constructing a project like this is, and points them in the direction of where to go to get that last piece of information so that they can build their own home. At this point, there are, I'm just going to my recommendations. There's 2 ARU, detached accessory dwelling units, within the models. These would be added in rear yards of properties by property owners who are interested. There are 2 4-plex dwellings and 1 6-plex dwelling that offers kind of a single building with multiple units in it. And then finally, there are 2 street fronting townhome models. We have reviewed them internally. We think that there is sufficient information between the initial catalog information and then the addendums that the CMHC has offered with respect to parking and materials to be able to meet most of the performance standards out of the development permit bylaw, with the exception of the design guidelines, which, as illustrated in the report, do offer some serious departures in these designs from what we would conventionally see in builds in town. And for those reasons, before staff endorse this project and publish it on the website through a link, I wanted council's feedback on whether or not you truly felt that this was something that was warranting of an endorsement in town. If you choose not to endorse it, we still get all our HAF money, which is good. We have confirmed that. We would still also be subject to reviewing CMHC housing plans if somebody decided to investigate building one in town. We would do our review at that time, and there may be requests for relief from design guidelines that would be dealt with through permit processes. But it really, at this point, CMHC is looking for council and the town to step out in front of the designs and say, this is something that we're ready to encourage. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful in appending the designs right into the agenda package, but there is a link. I would caution you that when you use the link, make sure to select the Ontario specific homes, because all of the Cross Canada products are shared on that initial link. And the ones from other provinces look very different than the ones in Ontario. I did provide you 3 options. You can either decline to endorse, no questions asked from CMHC. I would suggest you could also endorse just the accessory dwelling units. They do have a bit of a different aesthetic and are less impactful than the ones that fill the front of the lot. Or alternatively, you could provide a resolution that supports the use of all of them. And with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you for that. And are there questions? Linda?
I have a concern about endorsing this catalog. When I look at these designs, they are very modern, and our own staff had identified several areas where they just don't fit particularly well with the architectural character we have established for Carleton Place. My concern is that we could end up with a situation which is gradually losing the architectural character that makes Carleton Place recognizable. I don't want us to become a town where you can drive down one street and see the same catalog house repeated over and over again. We have a responsibility as council to think about what Carleton Place is going to look like in 10, 20, or 30 years from now. An endorsement on this, to me, would equal approval to have a lot of little gray houses around. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Linda. Jeff, go ahead.
Hi, Nikki. I have to disagree with my colleague, Councillor Sekaspina. I think an endorsement is worthwhile from the program simply because this is part of the project to build more homes faster through pre-approved designs. I took a look through the catalog as well, and the designs are different to see. But when you dive into the designs, what makes them different is the fact that they're just putting more housing into long rectangular lots and reorienting the entrances from the front to the side. Once you look at that reality and look at the designs of the the homes themselves, they're just fine. And there is a variety of housing across Carleton Place already. There is no monoculture in terms of housing design. We have some design standards. Like we have our Bridge Street designs. We have some approved standards, and gray is actually the approved color for painting houses in Carleton Place. But I would consider endorsing this because it does offer the gestures, especially for the accessory units, that we're willing to move forward with these. And these plans are fine and they're worth exploring, especially for individual homeowners, someone who's looking to develop an individual lot and put something in their own lot. We're not thinking about subdivisions of these designs, at least I hope not. But in terms of individual homeowners that have a lot, you're rebuilding a house that's burnt down, something like this is an option. It's more affordable, it can be approved more quickly, and it can get people into housing a lot faster than we can currently do. So I would be in favor of an endorsement of the catalog itself, at the very least for an endorsement of the accessory units.
Thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I think Dana, you had a hand up there, and then I'll go around after.
Okay, thank you. Like everyone else, I looked at the catalog. The accessory units to me are usually in rears of lots and backs of lots, so I don't think they affect as much, and I'd be happy to support those. My question is, if we support these, are we saying we allow them everywhere and anywhere? I'm wondering, a few here and there in different areas I think are fine. Like, I don't want to see subdivisions of them. I don't want to see large rows of them. And I also feel like at the municipal level, we have lost a lot of control when it comes to development and what we can and can't do within town. And design standards is one of the few things we still do have some say over. And I'd like to keep it that way. So yeah, I'm wondering, is there some parameters we can put on that some of these are okay, but we don't want large amounts of them?
Thank you. A couple things. I think you can't quantify the number that you're going to permit in town. I think it's either all or nothing. I think that there is nothing that would prevent a developer from adopting the design and building them in a plan of subdivision. That is an option, so long as they meet the rest of the criteria in subdivision. I think that's unlikely. I think the developers that we have to date, at least, all have their own product. And have already paid for those designs, so I think they're going to continue using them. But that's not to say that somebody couldn't come to the table and decide that they are going to build an entire community of this. My concern is actually less that they build an entire community of this. I think that would make more sense. You're developing a neighborhood en masse that has a cohesive aesthetic, whether or not you like it or not. My greater concern, and where I think these will be more impactful, is that they may occur in older areas of town permitted as a right. And I think that's where you're going to see high potential for impact. I hear what Councillor Atkinson is saying about not having concerns with side yard doors. I think that's a great departure from the core of the values of our design catalog right now, like the design guidelines. And I think it's a slippery slope, because if you allow new infills to have side yards that aren't oriented into the street in these designs, it's going to be very hard to say no when somebody else comes to the table with another design. Those core principles that I identified, the clear prominent front entrance on the front of the house, usable front steps, traditional and symmetrical gable and hipped roofs, and percent of glazing on the first and second stories. Those are very concrete and measurable performance standards that we have been successful in upholding at tribunal hearings, and are considered to be key kind of urban design principles. If you venture away from that, I think you're into dangerous territory about opportunities for other types of designs to come to the table that also emulate that. And perhaps we will not be seen as having enough strength within our development permit bylaw to really uphold that test.
Okay. I think Mark got up first, and then I'll go to Sarah because Linda already went once, and then we'll go to Linda.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tennant. I went through the designs like we all did. I'm not fancy about anything. The only one I kind of got a little excited about was the accessory dwellings, because we are pushing that as a council. We are subsidizing individual homeowners if they want to do the accessory dwellings. And I'm torn in the middle if we don't endorse the entire package. I know one of the options is we could endorse the accessory dwellings. But would these plans not be available online for anyone just to get these design plans and use them? I don't see the benefit of us endorsing the entire program or endorsing part of the program. To a lot of what you were saying, it will and it could affect future developers coming in if we say, oh no, this one's okay, but you can't do it unless it's going to cause a lot of confusion. So I guess ultimately my question is, are they available online regardless if we endorse it or not?
Through the chair, yeah, absolutely, they are. And when you follow that link and you click on the specific style of house, you can download the technical package, which is the technical drawing package you would submit with building permit. There are also addendums that go with that that deal with things like site grading and drainage, materials listing, price listing. They are quite expensive to build, mostly because of the energy efficiency components that have been built into the design. So they certainly don't fill the threshold of, affordable housing. Now, personally, I can tell you, I looked at doing a new home design, and getting design work itself is anywhere in the realm of, $20,000 to $60,000. So you are saving that cost. There are components of it you still have to have stamped by an engineer, so you will have to bear that cost yourself, but it at least kind of removes that first hurdle. If somebody picked it up and said they wanted to build it, then we would do our analysis and we would probably end up in front of you with a class 3 permit that says this doesn't comply with the design guidelines. What do you want to do? But there's nothing that prevents somebody from buying materials and having the design stamped and then coming in for permit.
Thank you. So if we endorse the entire package, we're not just endorsing the CMHC designs, we are ultimately putting ourselves in a position that could come back on us because we said we've endorsed the CMHC designs with anything that's similar to that. Is that correct?
I would say that's a fair position, yes.
Sarah, then Linda.
Yeah, a lot of what everyone else has said was kind of what was going through my mind. The accessory ones don't bother me as much, and kind of align with that idea of we're trying to make it easier for people to build smaller and more affordable units. However, there are other ways that they can do that without us endorsing this particular package. It's too bad because some of the East Coast ones are kind of cute. But yeah, no, I guess where I'm at is does it put us in an awkward position with CMHC if they've asked us to provide support and we're like, no, friend, not tonight. That would be my only concern because I quite like our current process. And to your point, we have kind of established an aesthetic look and certain things that we hold valuable in Carleton Place to kind of make our housing, quintessentially our own. So I would like to keep it that way, but I'm concerned, is there any sort of thing that I know you can't read their minds, but is there any downside to us being like, sorry?
Thank you. Through the chair, I think that's a fair question. And it was kind of the first one that Diana and I asked when they came to us with this. I don't think there is a downside. And for the very reason that we're not prohibiting them, right? Somebody could pick them up and come to us and we will duly evaluate them. We're just not going to advertise their availability and compatibility with the town on our website. And those are two very different things. If council was going to suggest passing a resolution like outlawing them in town, I'd say that might be a step too far and they're not going to appreciate that. But in this case, the lack of an endorsement, I don't think is going to have an impact.
Linda?
So, I don't have anything against developers or what they're doing here, but people out there do not believe us when we say we can't turn down developments, we can't turn down this because of Bill 23. And I can guarantee you these houses will not be affordable. Right now, what's being built are homes that people can't afford. And I think there's not going to be any first-time buyer homes, I can guarantee you that hands down. And all I know is you give them an inch and they're going to take a mile. That's all I can say.
Toby?
Thank you. Respect everybody's opinion on this one. I fall on the side of not wanting to endorse this. I think if we listen to Nikki and we're being told that there's a loss of control, and that's my concern, is that I don't know what the next thing from CMHC would be. Mike, I do have a question in this. Diane, maybe you can answer this, or a rough number. Do we know how many municipalities across the country received half funding? Like, would it be, there's how many, 5,000 municipalities in Canada? Would it be, I wouldn't think it would be 10%, maybe 10%.
We can certainly look and find out that number because they have reporting that they're doing. Do we know? 241 agreements signed. There you go.
Perfect. So there's 5,000 plus municipalities across Canada and 241 got half funding. We are very thankful for that half funding, and we're going to try and use it in the way that serves our community best as we see fit or the next council sees fit. But we're the only ones being asked to adopt these. Is this all 5,000? I thought it was strictly related to half funding. This was attached to the half funding. Municipalities that received that, was it not?
Through the chair. So the CMHC has approached all 241 municipalities that have received half funding to adopt it. Whether or not they have asked others, I can't say for sure, but I do know that they went to the 241 and asked them.
That's the point I'm trying to make, is that they're asking a very small portion of the population based on some funding that we got a couple of years ago. But there's 5,000 other municipalities that aren't being asked as of right now. If they were to just go to everybody and say, hey, every municipality, this is what's in everybody's best interest, and you should all take a look at this and please adopt it. At least I think it's then a bit more of a conversation, but there's a bit of a carrot and stick thing to me. And based on what you're saying and what I'm reading into this is there's a potential loss of control. And I'm more worried about what happens after the fact with other developers and with CMHC and the federal government. We didn't create the problem that we're all in the middle of right now. There's a housing shortage for a reason, and I don't want to get in and debate that right now, but I can tell you one thing, municipalities, and especially Carleton Place, we didn't create that problem. And now we're being asked to forego multiple councils and years of planning process and design and all of that stuff to allow this to happen. And it could injure us moving forward, just based on what you've said tonight, and I agree with you. I also believe that we are encouraging people to build auxiliary units, coach houses, or whatever they might be. We have modern houses. I've seen a few new builds around town. There's a few more front, flat facing, but they still do have a little bit of that style of what we ask for in our DP and all that stuff. So I'm a no on this, but again, people have said it, loss of control, they're available anyways. Yes, they might save a few dollars if we were to flat out endorse it. But if somebody was to come as an auxiliary unit with one of these, like you said, you'd bring it before us and we'd debate it. If there's a coach house, we already have programs in place to give money towards these things. And we do have money in place from the half funding that is going to try and help with the affordability crisis, which, just by your own words, this doesn't do at all. So I don't know why we would do it. Loss of control doesn't really account for affordability. It could injure us in the future with future development. To me, it just screams, stay the heck away from it and just do it on a case-by-case basis like we do and have done for however long I've been on council. So I'm against, and thank you.
So I'll say my piece. Something that Nikki said I think is the most important factor for me, and that if we endorse these designs, and there's a number of different features in these designs that would not fit with our DP and our OP that we've put a lot of work into, and staff has put a lot of work into, and we've chosen that that's the way that Carleton Place should look. I think that anybody who wants to contest us and go to LLT after we've endorsed this program basically has enough ammunition to bury us if they want to take any design feature from any one of these and say, well, you said that it was okay there, why isn't it okay here? And I think that just takes away a lot of our ability to deny things that we just don't want to see. And I think that is a very dangerous, way to go forward. The other thing, Linda touched on this, is I like that we do our best to try to encourage architectural variety and put time into these documents, and that staff puts time into looking at different designs and tries to figure out what historic neighborhoods or various neighborhoods in Carleton Place look like, and that what would be, what would work in those neighborhoods, and that a cookie cutter across the whole nation house is not that. It's not, we're not picking and choosing what works here. We're just saying, yeah, go ahead and build them. And I definitely don't want to see a sea of 500 of these prefab, I don't hate the designs, but I don't really like them either. And I don't want to give them the go ahead to build as many as, they might want to build in case some developer gets that idea. So I'm not supportive, and I think that it's a slippery slope if we do support it. So I'm out. I'm going to ask again if there's any more questions or comments before we go to a vote. Don't see any. Okay, I'm going to read the suggested motion. Suggested motion that council pass a resolution to endorse the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation's design catalog homes as near permit ready designs in the town of Carleton Place. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, if we say yes, we are saying we are accepting this. So just the wording of that is they're asking us to accept it. So just be careful of that.
Those who don't like it, vote no.
Nobody's moved.
Nobody's moved yet. So that's true. We might not even get a mover and seconder. Is there a mover and seconder, first of all? The motion's defeated. Thank you very much. No, it doesn't make the floor. Is it defeated, or is that what you would? No, you just say wasn't considered. That's the words. Okay. Yeah.
Didn't take their recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you presented it. You did what you had to do, and we didn't want to put it on the floor, so. Perfect, thank you. Moving on to item E, amendment to Ottawa Valley Rail Trail OVRT lease agreement with Diane, the CAO. Go ahead.
Okay, so the town already has a lease agreement for 45 years with the County of Lanark for the Carleton Junction. And last year we amended that agreement to include the rest stop between Moore and Lake Avenue. The county has been working with the cooperative wool growers to try to finalize a lease agreement for exclusive use over the driveway that is shown in the diagram in the report. The wool growers have indicated that they are not interested in retaining exclusive use of Part 2, which is the teen track, which is that small section of track that forms part of Carleton Junction. So the county had approached the town to see if we were interested in retaining it and being responsible from a go-forward basis for maintenance of it. If not, the county is going to have that section of track removed, and then there will be no future maintenance or anything required. So staff discussed it and would like to see it retained as part of the park and the history that happened within, not the park, but within Carleton Junction. It's not a park, it's Carleton Junction. So within the junction, staff would like to see that history remain. It forms part of what happened with the wool growers over the years. and the history of the rail tracks in town. And so the recommendation is that we would amend the lease agreement with the county to bring that under the town's lease and responsibility going forward. So I'll leave it at that, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
Are there any questions? Dana?
On the colored diagram, which color are we talking about?
So
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Mark?
Thanks, Dan. Just when I was going through this, the first thing that came to my mind was this is history of Carleton Place. To have it removed possibly if we don't accept it in the municipality here, I think would be long-term detrimental. It was an important part of Carleton Place and the growth of Carleton Place. And that's kind of the only thing physically we have to show that here. So I fully support accepting that into the municipality for future maintenance and taking care of it.
Great. Toby?
Thank you. We were pre-meeting yesterday to get ready for this meeting, and I had the exact same question that Councillor Comley just asked, but now I'm actually back to being confused again. We are only talking about that section of rail because the colored map is the roadway, which is confusing to me.
Okay,
Just so I want to be
so
clear.
the county is having discussions with the wool growers about access to their property. As part, when they were having those discussions, the wool growers brought up that they do not want part to be responsible for part 2 anymore. So the county came to us, nothing to do with the driveway access. That's still going on with the county and the wool growers. I just wanted you to know where this request came from, because the wool growers, as part of their discussions about access to their property, said, by the way, we do not want to incorporate part 2 and be responsible for it. So the county said, okay, what are we going to do with it? So they've come to us and approached us whether we want to be, but we already have our deal with the wool growers about access to Carleton Junction. That was a part of the original lease agreement that we had. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't taking over the entrance in and adding much funding to that we don't currently aren't currently responsible for.
So the town already maintains that access, and we share in that actually with the wool growers. It's just the county never formalized their agreement with the wool growers. And it came up because of recent discussions about blocking of the other access by the Tim Hortons, which is also, and so that's how this, the discussions about the county formalizing the agreement for entrance with the wool growers came about, is because of other discussions about other developments that either back on or that have access to that property.
Okay, it's a complicated piece of property. We're not adding to our responsibility other than accepting the stretch of track that is adjacent to their warehouse building. Thank you. So at least we're clear on that. I concur with the history and the importance of this section of track. In fact, I would take it one further and say that we should probably drop something on that track. I go through a lot of different municipalities that have had train tracks running through their property or through their community, and Carleton Place we were the hub way back when. Everything ran through Carleton Place to somewhere else. The fact that 96% of the wool in Canada comes through Carleton Place is kind of cool, but it all was transported back in the day on rail. So I would say, add a caboose or an engine or something to down the road. I would throw that out there, but I would fully endorse keeping that track, maintaining it, and keeping it as a part of Carleton Place's history.
I don't know what they're called, but they go on the railroad track and it's like a pump thing on each side. Kids would love that. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, don't get me started. I'll be putting stuff. No, I I obviously love the idea of keeping the track and foresee that one of those look throughs that we had for Roots and Revival. We'll talk later. That would be really cool. And I think it's absolutely imperative that we keep it just for the historic nod and people understand then the history of Carlton Junction. As an aside, if you need more items, I have a child that when he was a toddler drug home every iron bar that he could find when they were tearing up the tracks. So I have a stockpile at home if you need any. Thanks, though. I think it's a great addition.
All right, any other questions or comments before we move to the suggested motion? Hand pump railroad card is what it's called. Suggested motion, sorry, get back to it, that council pass a bylaw to authorize entering into an amendment to the 2021 OVRT lease agreement with the County of Lanark to recognize the addition of the team track identified as Part 2 on RP 27R 11398. Mover and seconder, Toby and Mark. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. New and other business, I don't see any. We have library board minutes and urban forest minutes. Suggested motion that the following minutes be received. Dana and Jeff, any discussion? All in favor? Minutes are received. There's an information listing. Does anybody want to discuss anything in the information listing? Suggested motion, the information listing dated August 11th, 2026 be received. Mover and seconder, please. Mark and Sarah, all in favor? That's carried. And we got a closed session agenda. We have 3 items. Suggested motion, the committee moved into closed session at 7:01 p.m. to discuss matters subject to Municipal Act Section 239. Item 2C, proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Items 2 and 3. E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters for administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Item 1. F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. Item 1. K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Items 1, 2, and 3. And that the following persons be permitted to participate in the meeting: Diane Smithson, Stacy Blair, Diana Knight, Joanne Henderson, Emma Blanchard, Nikki Dwyer, Guy Bourgon, and council, obviously. Mover and seconder. Jeff and, oh, yes. Yes, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. I do have a conflict of interest on item 2, as we do substantial business with them. Oh, okay, sorry. So item 3, not item 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. He's declared on an item 3. A mover and seconder, please, to go into closed session. Jeff and Sarah, all in favor, and we are moving into closed session. Thank you. Three, give me one more. That's right. All right, we have quorum and Mark's not on camera, but he's in the room. Could I have a rise and report, please?
For the items that were discussed in closed session, the three of them, the litigation and the two sale of land and community planning matters, staff direction was provided in closed session for all items.
Thank you very much. Mover and seconder for adjournment. Linda and Dana, all in favor to adjourn? That's carried. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye.